So to make a new agent, all we have to do is say create new agent. And then there's two ways in which we can create them, either by allowing the MindStudio architect to build the agent by just telling it what you want it to build, or I'm going to show you how to do it with just starting from a blank project. And so the most important screen in all of this is this automation screen. And here we can add these nodes of automation. So we're going to create an agent that is going to be callable via the Chrome extension. So if we go to Start here, we can say Browser Extension. And then that gives us these fields here called launch variables. And so whenever this agent is called by pressing a button on a website, we get these variables passed. What's the URL? What's the metadata behind the, in the code, the metadata of the file, the full text that's visible to users. If a user is selecting anything on the screen, highlighting anything or right-clicking anything, we get that. And also we get all the raw HTML for this, right? And so here I'm just going to say plus, and then you can add these different types of blocks. Now the one I'm going to add is called generate text, which simply allows us to call a model. And I'm going to say here is extract all salient points in this. And here I'm going to pass in the variable like this, full text. And again, that comes from these launch variables that we get here, the full text of the page. And so what this thing is going to do is it's going to extract all salient points, and then I can add some other things, use Markdown to format, okay? And then I can say use bullet points. I can give it a bunch of instructions, whatever I want to, okay? And here we've actually already made this thing, and so we're going to give it a name, and then we're going to call this, call it salient. And here, I'm not going to give it an icon, but obviously you can. You can give it sort of a bunch of other information. Here, I'm going to say publish. And so now I'm going to go to The Verge, and I'm going to click on an article. And now here in my extension, I'm just going to search for salient. There it is. And I can just say run. And so now we are running this agent, and it looked at this content here. It got all the salient points. In fact, it was able to even go below the subscription screen and get all the salient points here, broader context, the background of the mother, significance of the article, key themes. We got all of that simply by saying to a model, in this case, we can see what the model is, Claude 3.5 Haiku. We simply gave it the text of the page and said extract all salient points in this and use Markdown to format, use bullet points. And that's what we got. And then we can extend the capabilities of this, right? And so here we're displaying this to the user, but we can also change this to say save to variable. And here give it a variable name, and I'm just going to say points. And now we have a variable named points. And again, we reference variables using these double curly braces. And so we can create a new block. And again, there's many different types of blocks you can get here. I'm just going to say view all blocks and quickly lead you through some of these things. And so there are blocks like analyze an image. And so you can ask people to upload an image and then analyze it and get metadata back from the model and sort of do things with that. You can generate various types of assets like PDFs or images and sort of charts, as you can imagine, and you can browse through this. I'm not going to give you the full tour because there's like so many of these things and more being added all the time. You can connect to various social media services and, like, for example, easily grab captions on a video or get all the comments of a video or the metadata or search through Gmail or Google or Google Trends, etc. But here what I'm going to do is I'm going to say create a LinkedIn post. Okay, and we're going to put this here. And so right after this, what we have here is this variable we created called points, and we can actually create a LinkedIn post. Now I've already connected to LinkedIn here. If you hadn't connected to it, you need to connect to these various services simply by logging into them, right, with OAuth. And then once you have a connection, you can do things with it. And so here I could, if I wanted to, just reference this variable and say points and have that sent here. And then this would get a bunch of points posted to, bullet points posted to my profile. But of course, that's not what I want to do. So I'm going to click plus here again. I'm going to say generate text. And here I'm going to say use these points to generate an article about them. And again, you can do much better than I'm doing here of like giving it instructions of what you want it to do. And here, again, you can just reference these points. Okay. And here I'm going to leave it as the same model, but if you want to change model, we support over 50 different models from all the major providers. And so you can mix and match and easily switch models and use it. I'm just going to use the default one here. Okay, and so we just created this thing, again, that allows us to be on any website. Click a button. It will generate a bunch of bullet points about what's on the page. It will then take those bullet points and generate an article about them. And then it's going to, store that in a variable. By the way, we need to change this to save to variable. And I'll call this article. And now over here, we need to change this to say article. And that's it. And we're done, right? So I can say publish. And so now what we get here when we are on this thing and we click this button, oh, I should have favored it. So here, let me show you again. We can quickly look for it here. We can say save. And over here, you can go and say add to start or pin to extension. If you pin it to extension, what it's going to do is anytime on this page, it will actually be here. Okay, and so now we can look at my LinkedIn profile. And again, depending on how long this took, it should probably be there already. And we can look, and here's the article that it's posted that's here. Right now here it says, here's an article based on the provided points. Obviously, we don't want it to say that for future articles. So I'm going to go ahead and delete this. And then we're going to add some stuff to it here, right? And we're going to go here and we're going to say, return only the article and no other commentary. And something like that usually does the trick for that. Of course, the other thing we could do is we could, let's do some other things here. Use emojis. And so, and then we can say add hashtags. So like all of these things we can simply say by doing that and giving it this. And then here we'll just leave this as article, and then we're done. We're going to say publish. And again, we can run it, and I'll run it on this same article here. There it is, salient. Remember, we pinned it. And so it's going to run, and it's going to publish. Now, another thing we could have done if we wanted to while it's doing that, I could have gone here, and here we've got this article. I can say display content. And right here, I can simply say article. And so we'll be able to see this article that's here. I can hit plus. I can hit this thing that helps me organize these things. And here they are. And so again, now if we publish this and we rerun it again here on this page, what this will do is it'll grab it. It'll display for us the article. And then it will also publish it to LinkedIn. And of course, we're going to have to remember to go back to LinkedIn and delete the article we already got. Okay, and so let's go back here to my profile. And then here's the article that we just created, that's got some emojis and obviously doesn't say that it was created by AI, so that's great. It's got these hashtags, that's awesome. But then again, we already modified it, and here we get to see it. Remember, we created that display content screen here, and that's why we're seeing it directly in here. We're seeing this content, and it got published to LinkedIn. So these things are really easy to create, and then sort of continue to make them, more and more useful simply by clicking on this, and again, choosing these various types of blocks. As you go through them, you'll realize there's like amazing stuff that you can do very quickly using these types of things.